Welcome, everybody. My name is Jon Clay, VP of Threat Intelligence here at Trend Micro, and welcome to our episode 7 of Trend Talks BizSec. Joining me again today is Ed Cabrera. Ed, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. As always, I love our talks, and we have a great episode today.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about cyber mercenaries with one of Trend Micro's researchers, Feike Hacquebord. Feike, welcome to the show and look forward to our talk. You got anything to say to our audience?
Thank you, John. Yes, sure. So I have more than 15 years experience in researching bad actors, and recently I looked at cyber mercenaries.
Excellent. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what are cyber mercenaries and kind of what they do as within that underground community?
Yeah, I would define a cyber mercenary as actors who can be hired to do a offensive attack on behalf of on anybody who wants to pay for it. There are different forms of doing that. For example, a cyber mercenary can sell the tools to their customers, and then they have to use them themselves, or they can just do everything for the one who pays for it, and then they give the information the customer wants.
Yeah, so they're basically peddling information about a victim, correct?
Yes, or they are selling, for example, a tool that can hack into the system of a person or organization.
And is this usually a lone person, or is it a group, or is it a combination of both?
Cyber mercenaries come in many forms, but some of the cyber mercenaries, they almost look like a mid-sized company where people go every day for their work. And they can be quite open about what they do. Other cyber mercenaries, they hide in the dark and they can only be reached through underground forums, for example. Those can be, not like a big or mid-sized company, but more like a person or a few persons, say.
So you're saying that they can actually work alone or in groups or in cells, so to speak?
Yes.
Is that how you? Okay, fantastic. And then when you look at these mercenaries, are they primarily when you focused? Because we talk about this grade line between cyber criminals and cyber criminal undergrounds, and them doing sort of extra work, side work, or primary work as a proxy, or as a mercenary. Do you see that there is this overlap, or are they really dedicated in this role that they're doing, right? As a mercenary.
I would think there are people who are doing that, like you just said, as a side job, but there are certainly cyber mercenaries that just do that as their main activity. So because, we have looked at one particular cyber mercenary we call Void Balaur. And if you just look at the work they do, that's just a lot of work. So I can't imagine that it's just that they just do it at night, besides their daily activities.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so are these people peddling their information to anybody, or do we see more nation state type or cyber, espionage type of stuff? And also, who are the victims typically in these situations, Feike?
First of all, the victims are usually quite varied. So because some cyber mercenaries will just take anything they are asked for. But the most vulnerable people are usually reporters, people in media, dissidents, people who are active in politics, people who are active in human rights but also lawyers, for example. So lawyers are a frequent target of cyber mercenaries too.
Lawyers.
Yes, lawyers. Yes.
They have a lot of good information, I would assume, on their clients, and that's what these people are looking for.
Yes, exactly. So you see that people who have a lot of private information about other people, they might be a victim or a target of cyber mercenaries. For example, for the Void Balaur, we have seen that many doctors, just medical doctors, were a target of Void Balaur.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, no. To me, I think it almost rings the sort of the Panama Papers discussions, right? When you talk about attorneys and or these sort of highly connected entities, be it the law or medical professionals that might have this insight and have a client base. Right. So you attack one and you affect many, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What types of attacks? How do they obtain this kind of information? So what are they using to get into the victim's information?
Well, that can be different too. So different kind of tools. So some of the well-known cyber mercenaries that are in the news, for example, they sell 0 days or N days, where the customer or the cyber mercenary will hack in your phone, for example, with a 0 day. But that is not always the case. There are lots of cyber mercenaries that just offer to hack into email boxes. And in some cases, that can be without user interaction. So we have seen cases like that. In other cases, with user interaction, and then it is just plain phishing. So you would say, well, that's not really advanced phishing, but still a lot of those cyber mercenaries do that. And unfortunately, the success rate is quite high. And that's mainly because their social engineering is really, really good.
Which means they probably do a lot of investigation up front on their victim to identify their likes, their norms, what they like to think, stuff like that, right?
Yes, exactly. Or the customer will provide that information to the cyber mercenary. That is also possible, of course.
You bring up a great sort of thought, right? When we talked about this blurred lines opposed to, very sophisticated cyber criminal groups, but more so the ecosystems that they operate in. And so this crime as a service model where you have already dedicated, affiliates, even in these ransomware as a service crews as well. But needless to say that there is some specialization that, do you think some of these mercenaries are tapping into this marketplace to be able to sort of, become better at what they do and be more effective for the work that they're trying to get done?
Well, it depends on what kind of cyber mercenary you're referring to. So there are, like I said, cyber mercenaries that look more like mid-sized companies, and they have a lot of money, so they just have a lot of resources. Other cyber mercenaries, including Void Balaur, if we look at the target list, then okay, I don't know who paid for the attacks a cyber mercenary like Void Balaur is doing, but if you look at the target list, then well, you would think that some nations are paying them for that. And of course, they have a lot of resources and money too. So given that a lot of cyber mercenaries have a lot of money, a lot of resources, they can just invest. They can invest in 0 days. They can invest in finding information about their targets. For example, we also see, in case of Void Balaur, that some targets are being attacked for over 1 year. I don't know exactly why that is the case, but that's just the data we have. They are being targeted over and over again, and they first, for example, target one employee of the same company, and then a month later a other employee, and so forth, and that can last in some cases for more than one year.
No, that's interesting, and I think of, you know, obviously interesting model, mid-size syndicate that does and has a lot of money to invest internally, right, to increase their capacity. But then
Right.
then the smaller ones may use, when we don't know for sure, obviously, and then they might outsource that to sort of save funding if they don't have the resources to do it. But the one question I have is, and it's probably something that you may or may not be able to answer, is, do you think a lot of these mercenaries are doing work up front and shopping, you know what I'm saying? Or are they provided a list, right? Hey, these are the targets that we want to, go after, and this is what we're going to pay you. Because you could easily see, if they get to that mid-size level, is that they have this machine, and why not be proactive and identify and possibly attack targets without actually being, asked to, and then shop those whatever they're able to either pilfer or provide access to state sponsored entities.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens in the underground, what you are just saying, that actors will hack into companies just to look around and what kind of information they have. I'm not sure, I don't have the information or data that cyber mercenaries are doing that. However, they might look into methods and sources. For example, in Russia, there's a lot of information on citizens that is for sale. So that's just about anything that could be border control data, all kinds of information about phone records, including cell tower locations. And if you want to be able to give that kind of information to customers who want to pay for it within a few days, then you have to have your sources, of course. So I can imagine that upfront they will make sure they have access to that kind of information.
Hey, Feike, what kind of price ranges are we seeing that they're selling this information to for?
Yeah, so for Void Balaur, it can be quite expensive, I would say. So just hacking into an email box can be up to, well, it depends on the exchange rate, of course, but it could be up to $700, $800, and it also depends whether you want something with user interaction or without user interaction. Without user interaction is, of course, more expensive. So for other cyber mercenaries that have been in the news, I'm sure that you're talking about, in some cases, about millions of dollars. It just depends on the target and what you want.
So when you think about cyber mercenaries, obviously they're selling to anybody, anywhere. We talked about a little bit about nation states probably hiring them. How do you think we deal with cyber mercenaries? How do we get them off the table, so to speak, and maybe get them? I don't know if they'd be arrested or whatever it would be, but what are some thoughts around how do we prevent cyber mercenaries from doing what they're doing as we move forward?
Yeah. So first, I want to say something about that cyber mercenaries will do anything. That's not totally the case, I would say. So if it is more or less a legal company, that can be a cyber mercenary too. In theory, they are governed by their local laws, of course. So they have to abide the laws, and then, for example, they have to talk with their government, their local government, before they can sell a offensive tool. Just like you can't just sell your weapons to anybody. However, you see that even in the EU, for example, you have cyber mercenaries that were found to sell their cyber weapons to governments overseas that probably shouldn't have them. So that happens. So then I think it's important that we inform our national lawmakers that things like that happen. So either the laws have to improve, or the local governments have to make sure that their local private offensive companies, that they abide the law better, and also ethics, of course. Then there's something else we can do, of course, is to teach the targets how to defend themselves. That is very important too, of course. And the third thing we can do is to shine a light on the cyber mercenaries that are out there. And we have done that for the case of Void Balaur. That is more like an underground actor. So then, regulation probably won't really help in this case. But other vendors, or for example, Citizen Lab, they have a lot of reports on cyber mercenaries, and that's actually a good thing, so that the public and also the lawmakers become aware of this issue.
No, I agree with you. The challenges, and I think relying on possibly having legal frameworks being able to prevent this, understandably that mercenaries by other names or by proxies have been in existence, especially under cyber espionage, since the dawn of espionage. So, to be able to prevent them, I think it's or thwart them is probably more on the education, training, awareness, and providing capabilities in developing these partnerships, these international partnerships. I mean, the research that you do is invaluable. So working and developing, and the work that we do on our public-private partnerships, I think that is probably the area that we need to focus in and expand. But I think the challenge is that this notion of cyber mercenaries is only going to continue to grow, right? Be it for propaganda sakes and or otherwise, right?
Yes, exactly. And well, the fact is that a lot of law enforcement agencies around the world, they want to have a tool to hack into systems legally, right? So so they need tools and they need services, and there can be just legal companies that help them with that. Give them the services, give them the tools. So that's just a normal way to do business. However, we also know that when you have that kind of industry, some companies in that industry, they will not abide to the law. They will not have the right ethical behavior, and that is happening. And when you shine a light on that, then that might help lawmakers and the local governments to do something against that.
Yeah, because I think you're absolutely right. You have those that are above the surface or above ground, and you have those that are operating underground. And like you said, those groups or entities understand that the money that they're going to, really make is going to be, at the underground level. So the challenge is shining that light. I completely agree. The work that you do, Feike, as I always say, is phenomenal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and so I think this is a good place we can end it up. It's been a great conversation, Feike. Again, as Ed said, thank you for joining us today. And thanks, everybody, for watching our Trend Talks BizSec episode 7. It will be available on YouTube, and we'll be looking at it. If you want to check out Feike's report on Void Balaur, you can go to trendmicro.com and search for Void, V-O-I-D, Balaur, B-A-L-A-U-R. It's an excellent research on that cyber mercenary group. So thanks, everybody. Ed, thank you for joining again today.
As always.
Feike,
No,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, John.
Excellent. Well, everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.